Welcome back. Emily Gregory is the newest state representative in the Florida House, winning a special election on Tuesday that saw her flip a heavily Republican district blue. Her opponent not only received the endorsement of Donald Trump, but the president voted for him because that district includes Mar-A-Lago. After her win, she received congratulatory phone calls from Democrats across the country, including former President Joe Biden. I spoke to her late last week. What has this week been like for you since the election on Tuesday?
It's been a little overwhelming, surreal, but exciting. I mean, this is what we worked so hard for, and I'm so grateful and honored that the voters of District 87 entrust me with this important responsibility.
Why did you run? Why did you get into this race to begin with?
I felt that the leadership in Tallahassee and the legislature was not listening to us. I felt that they were very distracted on culture war issues and not solving the very real affordability issues that us average Floridians are struggling with, like property insurance and healthcare and education. And that is the only reason that I'm interested in running, is trying to find solutions to these big, big affordability issues.
So when you get in the race, are you thinking that you're running as a way of trying to at least raise these issues? How honestly, what kind of a chance did you give yourself when you set out on this campaign?
Well, Jim, I must have a fairly sized ego, because I absolutely thought I could win the whole time. And as I'm, and I was also naive, right? Like I had never been involved in campaigns or any of it. So I just believe that I'm very embedded in my community and that my neighbors, regardless of their political affiliation, that we see the vast majority of issues very similarly, and that there are solutions that we would all, you know, be happier with those outcomes, and with lower property insurance premiums, with more affordable, more accessible healthcare, and with strengthened public schools.
It's interesting because obviously you're getting so much attention now because your House district includes Mar-A-Lago and its very famous resident, President Donald Trump. But you really didn't make this campaign ever about Donald Trump. Talk to me about how you navigated that part of what you were doing, because the president did come out and endorse your Republican opponent, made a big point of saying that he voted by mail, all those sorts of things. But yet you sort of steered clear of the Donald Trump of it all. Tell me why.
Yeah, sort of in the same way that I stay grounded in the data and in the real issues. That's what I'm interested in and doing in the state legislature, is staying true to the constituents, all 180,000 residents of District 87. That's my boss. That's who I serve. Not the most famous resident. It's also includes West Palm and Palm Beach, so I think there actually are quite a lot of famous residents. One of them is the president, but none of them are any special constituents. All constituents are equal, and I want to serve the greatest number of the greatest good with good policy.
And certainly the one person in your district who doesn't have to worry about health care is Donald Trump. He gets excellent health care, as opposed to probably some folks in your district who are struggling to make sure they have the health care they need, correct?
Right, yes. I mean, all of those that were on ACA had those ACA tax credits. We see thousands of our neighbors having to make a horrible choice whether to cancel their health insurance or buy groceries for their families. So that is my priority, is solving those kind of issues. And then, I mean, if we can bring property insurance premiums down, which I know we can with good policy, I mean, that would impact the president. That would help us all.
You said you heard from both friends of yours who are Republicans and Democrats that you should run. Why did you decide to run as a Democrat, knowing that you were entering a legislature now that will be, still dominated, still with a supermajority of Republicans in the House?
Well, I am a Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat. That is my worldview. But what I see in my personal life, and I hope to foster more of it in Tallahassee, is not a blindness to partisanship. It's about finding common ground and putting the biggest solutions and biggest problems first and tackling them together. And I think we're going to be able to do that. I feel very hopeful. People told me that I could not, in no way, ever, ever win this seat. And Jim, I did. So
But what is it internally that made you want to persevere on a case like this and move forward?
I just think the stakes are very high, right? I have three young boys, and I want to leave a kinder, fairer Florida that works for all of us, for them and for me and for all of us. I think that when good people stay on the sidelines and don't take action, then the world stays the same. So I'm incredibly, incredibly proud and so grateful of all of my neighbors that have gotten engaged on the campaign. We've trained almost, I think, 200 canvassers, people to knock doors and to, let people know that there is a special election and to talk about our issues. And these are people that for the most part, were not engaged and were not, wouldn't necessarily consider themselves politically active. But I think a lot of us are feeling like we have to change things, and that change starts with us.
There is that perception that discourages a lot of people from running for office, believing that if you don't have big money donors, if you don't have political action committees or others sort of financing your campaign, that you shouldn't even try, that you shouldn't get involved. And you're proof that that's not true. What advice would you give to others out there thinking of running?
So that's exactly right. I was just going to say, well, I should be I'm in at least one um, um, you know, contrary piece of evidence to that theory. And I think you have to do some soul searching, knowing that this will probably be the hardest thing you ever do. I can't undersell that. It was all consuming. If my family hadn't been on board, my husband took over primary caregiving duties for months and months, and that piece was integral. And then you just believe in yourself. Like it started with me, myself, my husband, and a couple friends sitting around a kitchen table being like, what if we just try? Like, what if we just do it? Like, if we don't like what we're seeing out of the state house, what if we just give it our best shot? And I think that's the only way the world's ever changed is a small group of people who were dedicated and passionate. And it's one of my favorite quotes from Margaret Mead. And that's the only thing that's ever changed the world. So we just did the thing.
We'll be right back.